when a 16-year-old student was shot and wounded really close to the school here. And that, along with the other recent high school shootings, are prompting some parents to call for student resource officers to come back.
It's worrisome and concerning.
Eric Happel has a child at Lincoln High School in Portland. He says after the recent shootings near Cleveland and Jefferson High School that wounded students, he'd like the school district to take whatever measures possible to increase safety. That includes bringing police officers back to campuses.
It seems to me that it was a working solution to help schools feel safe and also to be safe. And so whether that's Jefferson or Cleveland or Lincoln or any of the public schools in the downtown settings, we need to make sure that our kids are safe when they're at school.
Portland Police Chief Chuck Lavelle, a former school resource officer himself, says he welcomes the move if Portland Public Schools agrees.
And we're excited to have any discussions that might potentially lead to a return of officers in schools.
But Executive Director of Don't Shoot Portland, Teresa Rayford, says these officers can sometimes have a negative impact on students of color. She worked to push for their removal from Portland schools back in 2020.
Just working to advocate for children and families that were negatively affected by their presence.
She says instead, the focus should be on connecting students and their families to mental health and other resources to prevent violence.
We should be looking at ways to be proactive and to connect with those families that are most vulnerable to that type of violence or being victims of that type of violence.
Portland Police Association President Aaron Schmaltz says when the SRO unit was dissolved in 2020, the Bureau lost a lot of experience.
It isn't like other police jobs because you really are doing a very, very multidisciplinary and more social service kind of focused work.
And he says PPB's staffing challenges wouldn't make it easy either.
Building this back up is going to take many things. It's going to take, again, some time as our staffing builds back up. It's going to take partnership with outside organizations, at least until we get to a place that we have enough officers.
Taxpayers' hostage is immoral. There is no question.
Some Multnomah County residents tried to convince county commissioners not to approve putting $28 million in the budget to help deal with the homeless crisis. Today, the board approved that money for the Joint Office of Homeless Services, but didn't say any of the money will be going to the city of Portland's new plan. Good evening. Thanks for joining us for K2 News at 11 o'clock. I'm Deborah Knapp. The city of Portland is asking the county to pitch in $21 million for its plan to open 6 city-sanctioned homeless camps. K2's Joe English is live for us in Northeast Portland. So Mayor Ted Wheeler says the county has the money available, Joe.
Yeah, he has said in the past, in fact, in his request to the county for that $21 million, he said the county has more than $33 million in overcollected and underspent resources through the Joint Office of Homeless Services and the supporting housing services. Now, meanwhile, one thing commissioners talked about today is making it clear, more transparent, where money's coming from and where it's going.
County Commissioner Sushila Jayapal says the board and the groups they help need to keep refining the way money and resources are talked about so people can better understand how they're being used.
It is confusing, and there are a lot of different ways to slice and dice when money came in, what we forecast, what we spent. And it's really important for folks to understand that.
What Molly Hogan with the Welcome Home Coalition told commissioners what they need is some of that $28 million.
As of October, eviction filings in Multnomah County were 820 per month, and 92% of those filings were for non-rent payment. So we need rent assistance. It's clear.
While commissioners made no definite statement on whether any of the $28 million would be going to the city of Portland, Brittany Andres thinks they should have put the decision on hold. Let it be taken up by the new commissioners when they start next year.
Perhaps the job should be for the county to work with the city to come up with something that is more acceptable to everybody. The status quo is not working. The status quo is not working.
Well, Portland Mayor Ted Wheeler and Commissioner Dan Ryan sent this statement to K2 about the lack of collaboration from the county. We are disappointed that the Multnomah County Board failed to fully fund our budget request for an initiative that has received overwhelming public support, though our work continues.
Nonprofit Better Portland held a Stop the Violence event tonight, launching their Citizens Gun Violence Prevention Task Force. They say the goal is to bring more community leaders, nonprofits, and concerned citizens together. They want to do something about the situation in Portland through community outreach.
Every shooter out there has a community around him. He's got a brother, sister, friend, or something. And when he's angry and says, I'm going to shoot somebody because my girlfriend cheated on me, or I'm angry, or whatever, he says something. And that's where, as a community board network, we can do something about it. Every victim has community around them. They hear things. And so it's important to get together and talk.
Pastor Pritchett describes the fight against gun violence as a marathon, not a sprint. He says it's a multifaceted problem that requires both short-term and long-term solutions. He says their group also advocates for hope and encourages the community not to give up.